Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, I will do something that I will seldom ever do on this channel and admit that I was wrong. Yesterday, I said that the Clarkson trade had no implications on anything other than the Leafs buying themselves a fourth round pick. Well, that was a very rushed analysis, but today we have a little bit more time and I want to go really in depth on things. And in order to do that, we're going to need Cap Friendly to help us out here. So the tweet that's up on the screen right now, along with my face, says that there is still much that can happen between now and October 1st. But by acquiring David Clarkson's contract, the Leafs could now build a roster with a total projected cap hit as high as $92.05 million, and then place both Horton and Clarkson on long-term injury reserve to cover the $10.55 million difference. But you're going to be asking yourself, Steven, what the hell is long-term injury reserve and why do I care? Well, long-term injury reserve is used for when a player is going to miss 10 or more games. And what it does, it's the same as injury reserve, but it gives you that roster spot and the potential for salary cap relief. The important word there is potential. But Leaf fans might already be familiar with LTIR because of Nathan Horton's contract. But if you're not, I'll try to explain it the best that I can. So what the Maple Leafs have been doing with Nathan Horton for the past couple of years is they've been placing his contract on LTIR, or long-term injury reserve, once the season starts. But in order to do that, the Maple Leafs first need to be at or exceeding the upper limit of the cap, which this season is $81.5 million. If you are not at or above that number already, you are not eligible to place the player on LTIR. It will do nothing for you. And therein lies the reason for this ingenious trade by Kyle Dubas. And the whole point of me coming over to Cap Friendly right now, the lines, nothing else matters, is to show you this $3.5 million number that the Leafs still have in cap space. That cap space is for Mitch Marner. It's not for anything else. But the Maple Leafs cannot place Nathan Horton on long-term injury reserve while they still have that $3.5 million in cap space. Now, this is where I had my aha moment. You might not have your aha moment, but I'm going to try to explain this the best that I can. This might be where the video just gets a little bit mumbo-jumbly. There's a couple of scenarios that we need to explain that'll really put this trade into perspective. If Mitch Marner were to sign his contract before the season started, well, then they don't really need to make this trade. But it's always better to be safe than sorry. And if the Mitch Marner negotiations bleed on into the summer, there's no way that the Maple Leafs would be able to make up that $3.5 million difference in order to place Horton on LTIR and gain better access to that space. But when they acquired Clarkson, that fills that cap space with a figurehead, and then they can later access it without having to make a trade. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that a trade is out of the question. One famous line that really stuck with me from when Lou Lamoriello was here in Toronto is he always preached that if you have time, use it, right? So maybe the Maple Leafs want to dip into the free agency pool or the trade market and they want to add more salary. Well, now they can do that, and it would help them in the first couple months of the season because they're going to have some injuries. They might not have Mitch Marner. And you're going to say to yourself, well, when they do get Mitch Marner and when those players do come back from injuries, then they're going to be in trouble. Right, then they would be forced to make a trade. But that buys Kyle Dubas another month of time. So coming back over to Cap Friendly now, and you'll see that I still have all four of these guys on injured reserve. Well, now I'm going to move them all over to LTIR because Cap Friendly cleared that up. There's no maximum to the amount of players that you can have on long-term injury reserve. If they're legitimately injured, they're legitimately injured. So now with everybody on long-term injury reserve, without Mitch Marner signed, it's showing that the Leafs could potentially exceed the cap by $11.9 million. And just so nobody yells at me, I took the liberty of putting the Leafs lineup together when Zach Hyman and Travis Dermott come back. The lines aren't necessarily so important. It's just the players that are counting towards the cap and where they are. And I'm going to scroll up in a little bit. I'm going to reveal this $10.2 million number. And that's the most money that the Leafs have to offer Mitch Marner. And I mean, $10.2 million, give or take a little bit. And when I say a little bit, we're talking about thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I mean, I'm not claiming to be an NHL GM or a capologist or anything like that. I mean, I got my main man working on it back there. He's got Cap Friendly open on that laptop. But I mean, it's just a ballpark figure, and that doesn't necessarily Mitch gets all of it. I mean, they do need a little bit of wiggle room so that they can make other roster moves. And if I haven't gotten the comment already, I know, yes, if he signs in season, that means it would be a prorated amount in the first year and less in the subsequent years, but they would need more than that $10.2 million to cover it because the prorated amount of the cap hit is calculated on how many days are left in the season. We saw that with William Nylander last year, and then maybe the Maple Leafs make a trade. Maybe they only carry one healthy scratch instead of two. I don't know. There's moves to be made then, and like I said in my last video, Kyle Dubas and Brandon Pridham are a lot smarter than me. They have a lot more resources. And at the end of the day, they're the ones making the moves. I mean, I can easily point out a contract on the roster that doesn't necessarily fit in. Cough, Cody Ceci. Cough, Cody Ceci. But, I mean, maybe that's something that they address later on. So, guys, click the like button if you're just as confused as I was about this trade when it happened yesterday. And always subscribe for more because more is coming. And guys, I'm really sorry about the Marner thing yesterday. I was really in a hurry to leave, and I accidentally scheduled that video for tonight instead of yesterday at 7:30 p.m. So that video should be out after this one, I promise. As always, guys, take care and have a good day.